Hello, my name is Al Scopp. I'm Senior Pastor of Gateway Community Church, and we invite you, the faith community and ministry leaders, to join us in a meaningful and transformative experience. I'd like to introduce you to Ace Overcomers, who will be at Gateway Church conducting 2 trauma-informed ministry workshops.
Hello, I'm Dave Lockridge, Founder and Chief Executive Officer of Ace Overcomers. If you minister to the hurting, learn how Ace Overcomers can help you create a trauma-informed ministry that can reach and impact lives with a powerful combination of scientific and biblical principles. If you're unfamiliar with the ministry of Ace Overcomers, here's an introduction. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, refer to traumatic events that affect how a person develops physically, emotionally, cognitively, and spiritually. Our training has helped thousands overcome the effects of stress and ultimately trust God with every detail of life. Ace Overcomers is unlike any other program, uniquely Christian and uniquely research-based. Through a combination of biblical principles and sound science, the training will improve your counseling skills, help you to understand and overcome trauma with biblical and scientific principles, improve your communication skills, and improve personal and family relationships, help you conquer habitual behaviors, overcome depression, anger, and anxiety. Over the course of these workshops, we'll explore how our faith can inspire healing and support those who've experienced trauma. 1 out of 5 adults have experienced abuse, and 2/3 of adults have been exposed to at least one adverse childhood experience, and 1 out of 6 adults have an ACE score of at least 4 or more.
Hello, my name is Don Caballero. I'm the Associate Director of Ace Overcomers. We invite you to discover a trauma-informed ministry. Join us on Saturday, February 17th for Workshop 1, Overcoming Trauma in the Pews, Healing the Wounded and Restoring the Lost. And Workshop 2, How to Start Ace Overcomers at Your Church, which is the following Saturday, February 24th. Both workshops start at 9 a.m. and end at 4:30 p.m. Our faith has the power to transform lives, and these workshops will equip you with the tools to be a trauma-informed church that shines a light of hope.
So reserve your spot today to be a part of this transformative experience. For more information or to register, just scan the QR codes you find on this invite card. These cards have been placed in your church bulletins, or you can pick one up at your church kiosk desk. Let's come together as a faith community to create positive change and inspire stories of life change.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Thursday, and welcome to Catalyst. I'd like to start off, this is actually February 1st, so I'll start by saying Happy Black History Month as well. And yes, I'll take a chant for that. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Fallon Ferris, and I am the Equity and Intervention Specialist for Modesto City Schools. I currently serve on the board of the Children's Museum, Love Stanislaus, the Chamber of Commerce Foundation, Gallo Center of the Arts, Stanislaus County Office of Education Cradle to Careers Steering Committee, and the Women's Auxiliary. The purpose of Catalyst, so we're all here this morning, is to have a place for community conversations and connections that matter and inspire. This is a safe space to explore issues that face our own communities. We're diverse people from different perspectives and backgrounds that choose to work together for the benefit of our community. Our hope is that you will connect with others who share your vision and passion, that begin to build trust among one another, and also work together to impact our community on larger scales. We want to celebrate the community businesses and organizations that have sponsored Catalyst in 2023. We're looking for new members for 2024 as well, so please keep that in mind. But thank you again for our 2023 sponsors. We have Access and Capital, Blue Shield of California, Oak Valley Community Bank, Rolling F Credit Union, Stanislaus Equity Partners, TSM Insurance, and Valley First Federal Credit Union. And also, we'd like this morning to have you, if you're able to, please check in on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and also go to our City Ministry Network Facebook page to follow us and like us, which you'll see on the screen behind me. And now I'd like to invite Marvin up to the stage.
That's all? Oh my gosh. Go Malia. Yeah, what's up? Well, good morning. Listen, as we always have table talks here because we do hold a value that there's wisdom in the room, and you all are incredible leaders of leaders. But every year, we just need to revisit the rules and the guidelines around the tables. So I just want to give you just some simple reminders to keep your sharing. We're going to move to a table talk here pretty quick. Fallon will give you some instructions. But if you could keep your comments really short and leave space for other people to share. Now, we're all leaders of leaders, and so sometimes it's easy for us to go into a teaching mode. So somebody will say something, and the next thing you know, you're giving them a 3-point outline about why they shouldn't think that way, or they're different, you're different thinking. So, right? Okay, all right. We all don't like that. So, and there are times, I just need you to hear me, man. So just hear each other. If you want to have a conversation, which I'd love to have a conversation with others outside if you see things differently, just have some coffee, get together, and say, help me understand, tell me your background. So, or what were you thinking? So keeping your sharing brief. Make sure there's no cross-talking, which means just between one and the other. So include everybody in your conversations. No fixing, please, which I mentioned, which is teaching, counseling, correcting. This is really give everybody a chance to express what they're thinking. And then, of course, whatever says at the table stays at the table. I know enough of you to know that you come into spaces like this, and there's just things you won't say because you don't know who's at the table. And to me, that's a very sad thing. And I bump into a lot of community leaders. Well, I just won't say anything. So I really hope that this will continue to grow to be a place of candid conversation, transparency, authenticity for all of us, okay? So leave space in the room, I think the thing I would really say to you. Leave air at your table, all right? Thank you. There we go.
Thank you, Marvin. Let's give it up for him. Great reminders. So I'm going to walk you through this first exercise this morning, and on your table, you'll see a large Post-it note where in the center, it should say ideal communities. You'll also see crayons, and you'll need those as well. And this is a word association exercise. So what we're going to do as a table with this big Post-it note is you're going to draw a line from the words from the ideal community word in the middle. You'll draw a line, and then you'll begin to add words that come to mind that describe your ideal community. In the back, we were giving examples of, you could say children, and then somebody else at your table could then draw a line from that one saying mentorship or saying school, education, a variety of things. And so we're going to give you about 3 minutes as a group to really just envision what your ideal community looks like around your table. So go ahead and get started, and we'll come back together. All right. And I hate to stop these wonderful conversations, but feel free while we're at our tables to just take a peek at what some of the other members around your table wrote on the sheet of what an ideal community looked like to them. And to get us into our next item, I'll talk about Martin Luther King Jr., who had a picture of what an ideal community looked like. The beloved community manifests and holds unconditional love as its guiding principle, and it is expressed in the beloved community. Let's watch a video that will lead us into our first table talk discussion this morning. As you're watching, compare his list to your own lists around your table.
The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community. The aftermath of nonviolence is redemption. The aftermath of nonviolence is reconciliation. The aftermath of violence, however, is bitterness. And this is the thing I'm concerned about. Let us fight passionately and unrelentingly for the goals of justice and freedom. Let's be sure that our hands are clean in the struggle. Let us never fight with falsehood and violence and hate and malice, but always fight with love, so that when the day comes that the walls of segregation have completely crumbled in Montgomery, we will be able to live with people as their brothers and sisters. Oh, my friends, our aim must be not to defeat Mr. Englehart, not to defeat Mr. Sellers and Mr. Gale and Mr. Parks. Our aim must be to defeat the evil that's in them. But our aim must be to win the friendship of Mr. Gale and Mr. Sellers and Mr. Englehart. We must come to the point of seeing that our ultimate aim is to live with all men as brothers and sisters under God and not be their enemies or anything that goes with that type of relationship. I'm coming to the conclusion now. Garner reminds us that freedom never comes on a silver platter. It's never easy. Garner reminds us that whenever you break out of Egypt, you better get ready for stiff battle. You better get ready for some homes to be bombed. You better get ready for some churches to be bombed. You better get ready for a lot of nasty things to be said about you because you're getting out of Egypt. And whenever you break loose from Egypt, the initial response of the Egyptian is bitterness. It never comes with ease. It comes only through the hardness and persistence of life. And freedom never comes easy. It comes through hard labor and it comes through toil. It comes through hours of despair and disappointment. That's the way it goes. That is no crown without a cross. I wish we could get to Easter without going to Good Friday, but history tells us that we got to go by Good Friday before we can get to Easter. That's the long story of freedom, isn't it? Before you get to Cana, you got a Red Sea to confront. You have a hardened heart of a Pharaoh to confront. You have the prodigious hilltops of evil in the wilderness to confront. And even when you get up to the promised land, you have giants in the land. The beautiful thing about it is that there are few people who've been over in the land. They have spied enough to say, even though the giants are there, we can possess the land because we got the internal fiber to stand up amid anything that we have to face. The road to freedom is a difficult, hard road. But something else came to my mind. God comes in the picture even when the church won't take a stand. God has injected a principle in this universe. God has said that all men must respect the dignity and worth of all human personality. And if you don't do that, I will take charge. It seems this morning that I can hear God speaking. I can hear him speaking throughout the universe, saying, be still and know that I'm God. And if you don't stop, if you don't straighten up, if you don't stop exploiting people, I'm going to rise up and break the backbone of your power. And your power will be no more in the power. And I say to you this morning, my friends, rise up and know that as you struggle for justice, you do not struggle alone, but God struggles with you. And he's working every day. Somehow I can look out. I can look out across the seas and across the universe and cry out, my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He's trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. Then I think about it because his truth is marching on. And I can sing another chorus. Hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Then I can hear Isaiah again because that has profound meaning to me. That somehow every valley shall be exalted and every hill shall be made low. The plain, the crooked places shall be made straight and the rough places plain. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed and all flesh shall see it together. That's the beauty of this thing. All flesh shall see it together. Not some from the heights of Park Street and others from the dungeons of slum areas. Not some from the pinnacles of the British Empire and some from the dark deserts of Africa. Not some from inordinate superfluous wealth and others from abject, deadening poverty. Not some white and not some black, not some yellow and not some brown, but all flesh shall see it together. They shall see it from Montgomery. They shall see it from New York. They shall see it from Ghana. They shall see it from China. For I can look out and see a great number, as John saw, marching into the great eternity. Because God is working in this world and at this hour and at this moment. And God grant that we will get on board and start marching with God. Because we got orders now to break down the bondage and the walls of colonialism, exploitation, and imperialism. To break them down to the point that no man will trample over another man, but that all men will respect the dignity and worth of all human personality. And then we will be in Canaan's freedom land. Moses might not get to see Canaan, but his children will see it. He even got to the mountaintop enough to see it, and that assured him that it was coming. But the beauty of the thing is that there's always a just way to take up his work and take the children on in. And it's there waiting with its milk and honey and with all of the bountiful beauty that God has in store for his children. Oh, what exceedingly marvelous things God has in store for us. Granted, we will follow him enough to gain them. Oh, God, our gracious Heavenly Father, help us to see the insights that come from this new nation. Help us to follow thee and all of thy creative work in this world. That somehow we will discover that we are made to live together as brothers. And that it will come in this generation the day when all men will recognize the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community. The aftermath of nonviolence is redemption. The aftermath of nonviolence is reconciliation. The aftermath of violence, however, is bitterness.
Okay, so on our tables, we'll see a list of 25 beloved community characteristics that were just passed out during the video. We'll each take one of those, and around our table, we'll read off together those 25 different items that were in that beloved community that Martin Luther King Jr. described to us. And as we read and listen to one another read through these lists, feel free to circle and underline which ones really get your attention. And be ready to share your thoughts around the table. We'll come back and reconvene in about 8 minutes or so. All right, and we're going to come back together one more time. We actually now are going to do a Slido. I don't know how many of you guys have done a Slido before, but once this comes up on the screen, I'll be able to walk you through what next steps look like. So Slido is you'll pull out your phones, and you can either use your camera and take a picture of the QR code, which will take you right to the link where you'll write your answer, or you can go to slido.com, and then it'll give you a chance to put that number in right at the bottom, 1053372. And then what we're going to do on the Slido this morning is you'll send a text of the words that you use to describe your ideal community. And we'll begin to see those kind of popping up on the screen around what all of our in the room together, this community's ideal community looks like. All right, we have collaboration, leadership. Love, safe, and then as you'll see them pop up, if a word is repeated on Slido, it'll be the biggest one. So if multiple people say it, like multiple people have said safe. So that's why it's the biggest in the middle. We have inclusive, grace, collaboration, equitable, safe religion, diverse, creative, accessibility. Equitable got a little bit bigger, love, welcoming, food, safe neighborhoods, vibrant, the arts, culture. Feeling empowered, having partnership, togetherness, growth, money, multicultural, mentorship, belonging, There's one up there. I won't read that one, but we all know the Super Bowl is coming up, so that's why that's up there. This is beautiful, though. And so this is just an idea of what a lot of us in this room see as our ideal community and ways that we can come together to really make this community better. So feel free to take a picture of this and continue adding your answers as we go on. And next, I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker today. Yes, she definitely deserves that. So our presenter is Akia Walker. She is, oh yeah, go ahead. We'll give it up for Akia. She is homegrown and raised in Stanislaus County. She had the honor of receiving an athletic scholarship to CSU Stanislaus. And in 2020, she earned a BS degree in molecular and microbial biology. Akia is the first in her family to earn a college degree. In post-graduation, she was granted the opportunity to co-found a nonprofit organization called the Stanislaus County Youth Empowerment Program. As the executive director, YEP's mission is to develop a more visible and equitable pipeline for minority youth and young adults to map out their futures within the support of a strong network. Akia's hope is that all youth and young adults can experience Stanislaus County as a place for growth, community, and opportunities as they pave a way for their future. Akia is happily married to her best friend, Alex Walker, and she is also a member of City Ministry Network's governing board, one of Marvin's bosses. So join me in welcoming Akia Walker to the stage.
Oh, it's on. Okay. Good morning, everyone. All right. Well, I want to just start off by saying thank you to City Ministry Network for just allowing me the opportunity to just speak with you all today and just share my heart. I am just truly passionate about the work that City Ministry Network is doing, specifically in regards to youth development and leadership development. I know for myself personally, I have grown so much in my personal work and my professional work over the last few years, and I really attribute a lot of that growth to the work that I've been able to do within City Ministry Network and all of the leaders on their team. They have definitely poured and invested into my life in one way or another over the last few years. So I love the work that they're doing. I think programs like the Latino Leadership Initiative are very essential to our community, and I'm excited to continue seeing it grow. Can't believe we're already on cohort 5. So amazing. I just wanted to take note on that because I think so many young people out there, myself included, just looking in my past, in my upbringing, are really just waiting for an opportunity to be heard. They're waiting for an opportunity to find that corner in their community where they can pour into and also be poured into as well. And so that is, the nature of the work that I do is to really see more young people get that opportunity to have their voice be heard, to get that opportunity to pour into their skills and find out what they really want to do with their lives. And so that fuels what I do today. And I'm grateful to be a part of the board with City Ministry Network and continue the mission of the work they're doing as well. So thank you all to the team and the board members. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you today just some of my reflections on what building a beloved community looks like through my lens. And I've had the opportunity to take some time and just review the principles that Dr. King has shared on his philosophy of what it means to build a beloved community. And so as I was reflecting on his principles, I really thought it was important to just admire his character. Dr. King was able to lead and inspire so many people because of the strong foundation that he had in his faith, his values, and the philosophies that he built. And so through my reflections, I decided to take keen focus on two main principles. The first one being that building a beloved community requires those in it to acknowledge limitations, lack of knowledge or understanding, and seek to learn. And secondly, focus energy on removing evil forces, unjust systems, and not destroying persons. So I'm going to dive into a few of my reflections on these principles and how I believe that we may be able to achieve this in our own community. I'll be pulling some of my inspiration through scripture and literature as I reflect, because those are a form of my muse, is what I like to call it. So, go to the next slide. Okay. So, happy Black History Month, everyone. I want to begin with a reading of a poem by Nikki Giovanni called Black History Month. If Black History Month is not viable, then wind does not carry the seeds and drop them on fertile ground. Rain does not dampen the land and encourage the seeds to root. Sun does not warm the earth and kiss the seedlings and tell them plain, you're as good as anybody else, and you've got a place here too. There's a few other poets and authors I'll allude to briefly throughout my reflections, because many of these great literary geniuses throughout Black history have served as a muse, as I said, for my processing and understanding of what injustice is and how people of color have faced that. And, you know, Dr. King led significant protests in history, and those of which were powerful enough to shake up the trajectory of American society. And he really believed in nonviolent forms of protest, because in this way, people had the chance to create lasting change while avoiding unnecessary destruction among people and communities. In a similar way, I view literature and scripture as powerful tools for peacefully protesting against unjust and evil systems. The notable author Richard Wright said, all literature is protest. You can't name a single literary work that isn't protest. So with that, I'm going to get into my first reflection of building a beloved community, which is introspection. So I believe this is a first step to take in adopting our principles of building a beloved community. Because as we navigate as leaders in our various corners of the community and our various work, we might be asking ourselves, who do we need to be internally? What do we need to assess mentally, emotionally within ourselves so that we can show up in our best way for our community? And so this starts with really analyzing our own perspectives and views. What biases may we be carrying because of our personal experiences, or maybe the observations of experiences had by those closest to us? It could even be experiences or the overwhelming amount of news portrayed in the media that has affected us. And these faults don't inherently make us bad people. This is literally the foundation of our social wiring as human beings. We are designed to find comfort in associating with people who look like us, who think like us, who speak like us. And it's so natural to us that we can hardly notice it if we're not placing a magnifying glass on it. And so Richard Wright, in one of his bestseller novels, Native Son, said, men can starve from lack of self-realization as much as they can from lack of bread. And I really love this quote because I believe when we don't question our innate social behaviors and we don't really take the time to be introspective into our views and our perspectives, our biases, then we might be starving ourselves of a community that really has the potential for true success and unity. See, Dr. King calls us to seek learning and analyze where we may be limited in our beliefs and perspectives. And through this, we can identify who we need to be and what our role is in creating the community we envision. I know it sounds easier said than done. And it's not a simple process. Being introspective, it takes hard work. It's not always comfortable, but it's necessary, and we must do it frequently and often. And so I'll close out this slide with Luke chapter 6:45, which reads, "The good man brings good things out of good stored up in his heart, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For out of the overflow of his heart, his mouth speaks." So going into our next slide, I wanted to really assess, what do we need to do? Now that we've taken a look into who we need to be and how we need to show up, I think what we need to do next is really connect. As I was talking about, our innate social behaviors as humans, connection is everything. If we don't take the time to sit down with someone that comes from a different background than us, that has a different story, that looks different, that has a different perspective, we're really not doing ourselves justice in building a beloved community. It's kind of funny, I had some really good Chinese food not too long ago, and one of the fortune cookies notes said, one of the most valuable things we can do to heal one another is listen to each other's stories. And I truly, truly believe that. I believe connecting with one another, listening to one another, is a way that we can build meaningful bridges towards unity and solidarity as one community. We all have an incredibly unique story and a role to play in building a beloved community. And so I want to pull out a couple of verses from 1 Corinthians chapter 12 to illustrate the importance of this connection and the importance of us all working together as one. So verse 7 reads, "A gift is given to each of us so that we can help each other." Verse 12 goes on to say, "The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one body." Verse 21 through 22 follows with, "The eye can never say to the hand, 'I don't need you.' The head can never say to the feet, 'I don't need you.' In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and least important are actually the most necessary." Continuing to verse 25 through 26, it says, "This makes for harmony among the members, so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all parts are glad." I truly love this illustration in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 because it really affirms for me the power of social connection. And at the end of the day, we ultimately need one another in order to build the community that we envision. In a speech at Portland State University, the great Toni Morrison said, "The serious function of racism is a distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again for your reason of being." And I appreciate this message because it's a reminder to myself that we don't always need to hammer into the constructs of injustice and racism. Thank you, Fallon, for introducing, my background and what I studied to molecular microbial biology. And so for me, it's natural to look at the scientific reason. It's natural to find the statistics that back, the evidence on why these injustices exist. It's natural for me to research the disproportionate rates of incarceration, poor health outcomes, mental illness. I digress. I think if we can educate people on what it means to connect, we can really break that cycle and really build a community that we are looking for. Stepping away from that way of processing racism has allowed me to invest fully in simply doing the work, which is to connect with my fellow brothers and sisters in the community in which I reside. So going into the next slide, I want to start by reading a powerful short poem by Langston Hughes called "Evil." And it says, "Looks like what drives me crazy don't have no effect on you, but I'm going to keep at it till it drives you crazy too." And I love this because it helps me answer the following question: what are we to accomplish? What is our action? In order to imagine fulfilling Dr. King's principle on removing evil forces, our actions must be oriented towards breaking down the systems that are at play. Many of you in here are leaders in a wide array of sectors. Some may represent local government, some are in education, others in the church. And it is our duty to show up in those respective spaces and speak against injustice as we see it. And we must continue to raise our voices until there is healing, until justice is restored, until those that are affected are heard. Everyone's version of taking action may look different, but whatever your role is, you must focus your energy on doing that wholeheartedly, because the generation coming behind us desperately depends on the work we do today. And I love how Toni Morrison put it in her quote that says, "There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal." And so I think it's really, really important to remember, again, as we are fighting against these unjust and evil systems, we are centering our energy on the system. We are not centering our energy on fighting or destroying people. Remember, we are focused on building connections with people. And I think we have failed as a society many times over in the past, even today, because we tend to focus on fighting against people. And that is why we continue to see these systems cycle over and over again. And so I'll close out this slide with a verse, Romans chapter 12:21, which states, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Our action should always be strategized towards building that beloved community. So going into the next slide, after we've gone through all of these steps, we might be asking ourselves, how are we doing? It's always great to take a moment to pause and reflect on our progress, both internally. How are we growing as people? It might be helpful to ask yourself, where is my heart? Am I more attuned to lead with grace and empathy? Are we moving the needle as a community together on equitable initiatives for all people? These reflective moments are meant to take place many times over and over again. Building a beloved community is not easy. It's not quick. It's hard work. And there are many times we may feel hopeless, we may feel tired, especially as leaders in our wide array of work that we do. And we might have to cycle through the process of introspection, connection, action, reflection, just like the seasons. And we do that to remember why we do the work in the first place. So my encouragement to you all for when these seasons of despair may arise is to find your muse and hold onto it tightly. Find that thing or that person or that space that allows you to transmute your frustrations and your angers of all the things that are not right into the world, into something that soothes your soul, something that fills your cup. Because without those doses of hope, this work would not be possible. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 18 says, "I pray that your hearts will be flooded with light so that you can understand the confident hope he has given to those he called, his holy people who are rich and glorious inheritance." I want to leave you with this piece from Audre Lorde's poem, "A Litany for Survival." She says, "And when we speak, we are afraid. Our words will not be heard, nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive." And I second that statement. We were never meant to survive. So let's thrive together and continue doing the work towards building a beloved community. Thank you.
I was going to take, sorry, Fallon, what we'd like you to do is reflect. So what did you hear? And what do you think you might want to do about what you just heard? So we're going to make a shift here. So you got it? All right. And I hope you can be as candid as you can be to think, all right? Thanks. We'll come back up in a little bit when we're done. What are you going to do about what you just heard?
Good morning. Can we thank Akia one more time for that awesome presentation? One of the things I wrote down as I was listening is we are fighting systems, not people. My name is Carlos. I work for City Ministry Network, and I get to just share a few announcements. On your tables, we have cards for an event for the Redwood Center in March 23rd, so you'll see information on that. And also you have, as we watched the video at the beginning, the ACES event, you have cards for that. Coming up, we have the CMN Crab Feed. John Torres is all excited for that in the back. We have our CMN Crab Feed. March 9th, you could scan the QR code, buy tickets there. If you want to sponsor or know somebody who would like to sponsor, please let us know. So March 9th, CMN Crab Feed. We also have the night, YEP has the Night of Black Joy coming up, February 24th. Woo! So Malia and Akia, you could speak to them if you have any questions. Please reach out to them, talk to them. And also we have our faith-based symposium coming up on February 15th. I think we have that up there. Yes, February 15th. So if you want more information on that, please talk to Marvin or any of the CMN staff. Now for next month, March is Catalyst. March is National Women's Month. So I'm going to have Aaliyah Ashford come up and share with us about next month's Catalyst.
So I'm excited. We're going to be highlighting some organizations throughout our county that are helping to empower women. And we know women have made great strides, but in some of our underserved areas, there are still challenges. And I've been excited getting to know these organizations that we're going to have on a panel up here. And they're doing great work, not just in Modesto, but in Patterson and Newman and Denair and all across our county. So we'll be highlighting that. And then I'd also like to give Malia a chance to say just a little bit more about Black Joy. Okay.
Thanks for the applause. No, I'm just kidding. So you guys know it is Black History Month, and this month we are doing a talent show called Evening of Black Joy. It's our annual talent show for the Stanislaus Youth Empowerment Program, and we are hosting it at the State Theater. So it's going to be February 24th at 6 p.m., and it's a night to celebrate Black Joy and Black History Month. And so we have a variety of acts and different performers that are going to be a part of the show, and we have some great opening acts, intermission, and closing acts, and it is $10 per person to go. So it's free for the family to all be a part. It's family appropriate, and you get to dress up. So it's dress to impress. Wear your best outfit, your best shoes. It's going to be a great time. You can find me in the back. I'll have some flyers for you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Malia. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out in prayer. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next month. Let's go ahead and pray. Lord, thank you for your goodness, for your mercy. I just thank you for what you have spoken to us this morning. Bless everybody here, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. See you guys next month. Have a good one.